I'm not concerned about Bama just yet. I'm not. Now, last year wasn't great. Last year was bad in every single sense of the word. You lose to Oklahoma, we just mentioned, lose to Vanderbilt.
Yep.
The fact they weren't able to bounce back after the loss to Vanderbilt the way that I would have liked to see them bounce back, and they just sort of took South Carolina down to the wire before South Carolina was South Carolina. I'm not convinced that DeBoer is all the way moved in yet. Jalen Milroe, I think, held them back tremendously last year. He's a guy that wasn't really built for DeBoer's system. Now you got your new OC. You would hope you can have a better receiving core.
Yeah.
I'm not selling my DeBoer stock just yet. Where are you on the Tide?
Well, you hit on something important there. Milroe held him back. Who's that on? To me, that's on DeBoer.
Interesting. Okay.
You adjust to your talent in college football. You know, if you don't, that's a poor coaching job. And man, keep in mind, I'm not the one having to pay all these buyouts, but this is another guy I'd probably fire if they don't make the playoff
next year.
He's gone.
You're firing DeBoer.
Go from the greatest dynasty in college football history to missing the playoff 2 years in a row, then he's not cut out for this. And I'll tell you, JD, people that matter down there in Alabama, they hate him. They hate him. They hate how different he is from Nick Saban. So the people that really matter, they will make moves if they have to. They've got to make the playoff. And I've seen several different metrics that rate roster talent that have Alabama as the number one roster in the country for next year.
Interesting.
Now, okay. I don't know if how accurate. I've seen two different models that say that. I don't know if I buy that, but they are probably top five without a doubt. And every big game they won last year, what did they do? Like the Georgia game, which they blew nearly.
Yeah.
They turn around and lose to Vanderbilt. You know, they beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Oh, what a great win. Then they get pants by Michigan. You know what I mean? It's just every time they did something right, they did something wrong. That's on coaching.
Yeah.
The inconsistencies, they were undisciplined. You said it yourself, Jalen Milroe, who, at times looked like the best player in the country. Against Georgia, he looked like the best player in the country. Well, maybe his receiver was, but he'd be number two. Then at times, he looked totally clueless back there, like against Oklahoma. So that's on coaching, in my opinion. Don't put the guy out there if you can't trust him to execute your system.
My concern is, well, who else are you putting out there? Because apparently you didn't feel good enough about a Ty Simpson or an Austin Mack, or you go down the list there of Alabama's quarterback depth chart a season ago to roll with. But Alabama last year, trying to run DeBoer's system, they just didn't have a guy to do it. And then on top of that, didn't have any receivers to do it. Like Ryan Williams had half of Jalen Milroe's touchdown passes a season ago. Like he threw 16, and Ryan Williams, who's 17, every single broadcast beat that into our school. He caught 8 of them. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I don't doubt DeBoer can coach football. The guy's like 116-13 all time. The show is brought to you by Wendy's. When it comes to making the best hamburgers around, basics matter. And Wendy's, well, they've got those burger basics on lock, and boy, does it show. So what's the secret to all those hot and juicy hamburgers? Simple. Wendy's always crafts their burgers with that fresh, never frozen beef they're famous for. The result, hot and juicy, beefy hamburger perfection every single time. No matter which burger you order from the Wendy's menu, you already know that thanks to those Wendy's burger basics, it's going to be exactly what you were craving. I mean, as long as what you crave is a hot and juicy burger. So a hamburger made fresh just for you, not waiting for you. After all, the perfect burger doesn't spend time waiting around. So you want a hot and juicy hamburger made fresh just for you, it's gotta be Wendy's. Fresh is essentially their thing. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada, not available in Hawaii. The question was, could he recruit? And he just landed a top 3 class. So to me, it's still too early for us to even know what he is. Can I take issue
with that, though?
Please, yeah, I'd love to.
Because it bothers me when they say, well, DeBoer, man, he just landed the top class. DeBoer, the way I hear it, I don't know if there's a Alabama high school head coach that even knows who DeBoer is. Like, I don't think he's out there. They all know Hugh Freeze. Alabama landed the number 1 class.
Yeah,
Alabama's got the resources. Every one of these kids grew up. Alabama is the program. Alabama's offering us, I don't know how much money they got. According to the AD, he's collecting coins on the side of the road for their NIL. So I don't know if it's paychecks, but I would imagine there's paychecks coming there because they don't want to have to buy him out of his massive buyout. Again, what did I say about Florida and LSU? It's much more financially responsible to buy players. So they're funneling it more to the players. That's how you get a number 1 class. You come to Bama. This is the program. It's in the SEC. again, I'm not saying DeBoer is like inept at coaching or recruiting, but I'm saying I don't give him credit for number. I think it's Alabama. I think it's the brand. I think it's the logo. I think it's the SEC is why Alabama had a #1 class.
I think there was the Bama bump for them, like you just
Oh, yeah.
mentioned. Like the logo
Always.
definitely helps, but if they don't have success this year, that bump's gone because
Yeah.
every recruit is saying, "Well, that was Bama under Saban. I still like the logo, but they just missed the playoff 2 years in a row, and we're going to see them just plummet down the recruiting rankings."
Yeah.
Again, I'm still we got to see who the quarterback is, but I'm not so sure that Bama's not going to, with how much talent they still have in house, with all the dudes with a lot of stars next to their name,
Yeah.
they're not going to be in better position with Ryan Grubb now calling the offense. But you're saying after next year, like, hey, if it doesn't go how I want it to go, if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm ready to cut ties with DeBoer.
Let's call Urban. I mean, he doesn't have a job right now.
Get him off the big noon set and say, hey, get on out here to Alabama. That would be wild.
Mhm.
Be absolutely wild. Okay, well, we'll see what happens with Alabama here in 2025.